Hey, what's up, everybody? XRP back below $2. What's going on? Well, I think we should be about finished because if you look here, we are all on support. So this is the line. This is kind of like not necessarily the last line of defense, but this is the area you really want to see supports come in. You don't really want to come down any further than this. Definitely want to stay above this here, above what is that, $1.80. But sub $2. It is Sunday, right? Sundays are usually the bloodiest days of the week. So, and then with that is the news on with Iran. So, is that the final sort of push to the downside? We shall see. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We'll circle right back to XRP. So if we look at Bitcoin, we finally took the low out right here, right? So now we have a proper three-wave move, exactly what we've been talking about basically this whole time in here, expecting some kind of correction before continuation. So does it feel bearish? Does it feel like, oh man, it's continuing? Well, the altcoins do, right? And you can see how much altcoin damage that was inflicted just by this little pullback here, right? So, let's take a look a little bit closely. A little bit of wave structure that was just a continuation of what we talked about yesterday. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right in there. So it looks like an A, a B, and a C. So this looks like it could be just about done. Let's take a look at the trend based fib extension. Now there's no guarantee it's done, right? You could see, we talked about this yesterday. We perfectly hit finally the 1-to-1 at 98K. We just literally talked about that yesterday. So we hit it, and that could be it right there. So let's see. Again, today's Sunday. We're going to get the weekly close. Once Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday open up, we're going to find out very soon if it's more continuation or if this is the end here. You kind of want to see, you got three down, you got three waves up, and then you have three waves back down. So it's a really good looking three-wave shape so far. And then plus we have this support down in here if we had to fall a little bit further, right? So for example, if this had to be 1, 2, 3, and then we get 4 and then 5, still on the table, right? Still on the table. In which case you would look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. You have a three-wave up for B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for C, and then sort of collect consolidate down in here, and then get that. So everything is still looking pretty decent for Bitcoin. Again, it's just a correction for Bitcoin. Now the altcoins have gotten a little bit beat up. They're pretty much at their lows. A lot of them, for example, like you just take this one here and you look at it and you can zoom out. You can see that this wave is starting to break that low, which means a couple different things. One of them could be a fifth wave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5, right? Pretty simple. Another one is kind of like you have a flat in here, right? And that's your fourth wave. There's your fifth. Or the flat is something like that, right? So if we start holding the lows, you get a double bottom here. The fifth could be obviously truncated. But I think we should be very close to the end here, right? I mean, especially you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, you got 3 waves down, and you got 5 waves in C, and we're really, really close. You can see, all of these areas right in here is kind of where we're at right now. So that's just one example. Let's look at Theta. So Theta has completely taken the low, and yeah, that definitely looks to me like a 5th wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we finally have wave 5. So do we have bullish divergence? Yes. So this is it, guys. This is the grand finale right here. Look at Theta on the 2-day chart, right? Look at the bullish divergence that is forming on the 2-day chart. This is big divergence right here. So you obviously had, let's see. So you had divergence between here and here, which led to this rally right there. Price came down, right, below the low, but RSI is making a higher low. And that is super common when you look for a 5th wave, which is exactly what we're getting. So you want 5 waves, but you also want divergence between the 3rd and the 5th. So we could have a little bit more down to go, kind of like a little bit more, and you still get that divergence. So, and I would actually expect maybe a little bit, because, at least get kind of down to the dotted line from a 2-day perspective. But we'll zoom in and we'll kind of recalibrate what it looks like when we zoom in. But even on the 3-day chart, look at the bullish divergence on the 3-day chart, right? So if I would do this, I would take a trend line from here, connect it with this one, and then kind of come back down a little bit. So the downside risk is still kind of big right in here, maybe even to like 45 cents or so. So I would definitely keep an eye on that, on this trend line here, if in fact things get a little bit more dicey. Other than that, it could be anywhere in this area. So if we look at the 4-day, look at the 4-day chart. Look at that divergence. That's pretty big. Look at that. So, but there's no guarantee it's done, right? Because we don't have any doji candles yet. We don't have anything telling us, hey, that was the low. Other than the divergence and, of course, the 5th wave until we zoom in. So the 5-day chart, you still got the divergence. Look at that. The weekly chart. Okay, so here's the big one, guys. We officially have bullish divergence on the weekly chart. You can't get any bigger than that. You just can't. That's super rare to find, bullish divergence on the weekly chart, unless you're looking at a big macro structure. We haven't had bullish divergence on the weekly chart for a long time. All right. Kind of going back over here, we had some bullish divergence, but you can see it came up and then it was taken out. But we didn't go really too far below the low. But yeah, so now you can see we totally have it here. So let's also turn on the sequential. You can see also the 9 did a really good job of calling this base, but then also calling, this kind of this 4th wave. Now it could have been a reversal, which was my first, that would be my first idea, right? Because you did have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You did have a 5-wave move, right? You had a 9, you had a base, you broke out, but then it just came back down. Now, of course, you can associate that with Iran and all what's going on, the Fed continuing to pause. You can associate that with a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and to me, it looks pretty good now. So what do we have here? Well, it's no longer a 1 2 1 2 anymore, but you do have 1 2 3 4 5 A, 1 2 3 B, 1 2 3 4 5 down for C. So you have an ABC. You also have A, B, and C. That's a flat. So you have 3 waves up, you have 3 waves down, back to the support. Look at this. We are right on support. This is a big area that goes all the way back, back over here. So all of this support is definitely getting tested. So it wouldn't surprise me if you kind of dip a little bit below, just to kind of wick and get that liquidity grab. So somewhere below that line, you can wick below it real quick. But other than that, once this wave is finished here, and let's zoom in now, and let's take a look. You also have, let's go to this theta chart, and we'll go up to the 8-hour. And we could see 1 2, looks like 3 4, and then it looks like we're getting 5. So is this 1 2 3 and then we get 4 and 5 for the 5th? Very well could be. But I expect this wave to end soon, maybe even this week. So that's just kind of how I'm thinking about it. And after that, we should get some kind of a bounce. Now, if we get a bounce like this, I would expect another hit to the low. It's always, when you get a big low, a lot of times, like this low here, boom, you get the low, you come up, and then you make a slightly lower low. So if this is the big low, you come up, you make a slightly lower low, we should expect that. So it definitely doesn't feel too good having crypto be totally squashed on support. But at the end of the day, this is a long-term strategy, and it doesn't get any better than dollar cost averaging on literal support, especially if you have a broadened time horizon for when you want to cash in on your investment. Because the way I look at it is, the longer it takes, the more paychecks you earn, the more you're able to invest, the bigger bag you get. And then once eventually we do go up, you're going to have more coins to show for. So it's not exactly what we wanted to see, right? Because I was really hoping to see that this is 1 2 3 4 5. This is our first impulse. Let's get a 3-way pullback and let's continue up. But the alternative to that was, this was the 4th wave, then we get the 5th wave, and then we go up. So it doesn't really matter. The goal is the same, right? So if we zoom in here, you can see we're on a 9. I mean, we have several 9s across the board here on Theta. I'm not so sure if it's done yet. If we inverse it and we look at it inversely, right? And let's take the sequential off now. You can see, I was actually looking at this trend line right here. Right there, we had this head and shoulders, and you had your neckline right there. Let me see if I can make it a little bit tighter. And then there's your breakout. And then here would be the target, which is at 54 cents, which is kind of like that liquidity grab I was talking about. So let's see how that continues to play out. But there's no real evidence that the bottom is in yet. I mean, for all we know, it could keep coming down. and then you get something like that, right? And you get that spike to the low. So that's kind of what I would wait for. See something like that. But let's keep looking here and see what else is going on. So the 2 hour, yeah, you could see we got some dojis in here, right? We hit the low, we're chilling. So this could be it could either be a bounce and then a continuation, or this could be a platform for a real reversal. You're just not going to know until you get that first 5 wave move to the upside, right? So now we know, right? You can say, well, like this was here, it started off as 5, right? Which gave us 3, which gave us continuation. We got continuation. But then once we got that continuation, it gave us what? 3. So now that we have 3, you needed 4 and 5, but we didn't get 4 and 5. Right? We kept going down. So that tells us that this 3-wave move was just a correction, right? So another more bearish idea would be that this is a 1 2 1 2, and now we're in 3, then we're going to get 4, and then we get another big 5th wave drop. Totally possible. But XRP, coming back to XRP, it's kind of a different situation here. You know, you definitely have a lot more support, but you really want to start reversing pretty soon, because I mean, we are sub $2 now. So I mean, it got all the way down to $1.92. So if we look a little bit closely, there's really nothing here except kind of like this 3-wave move here. So you know, we got 3 up. If we get 3 back down and we hold, it could be a sign that we're building a base. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. There's really nothing else. So let's zoom out again. And when we zoom out again, we're doing something completely different, right? Because on the smaller time frames, it could get a little bit confusing, but we can't lose sight what's going on at the larger time frame, right? Because the larger time frame is trumps everything. So let's jump into that. But before I do that, that was a pretty interesting operation. I think they call it Midnight Hammer or something. So basically, they had like 2 B-2 bombers flying to Guam, and I go, why would they announce that? It just seems like a divergence. Divergence seems like a distraction. You know, why would they announce that? And then it turns out that those were the decoys, right? And then they flew in. He goes, I'll give you 2 weeks. And the Iranians are like, okay, we got 2 weeks. And then 2 days later, it was over. So that's just the art of war, right? And it's I'm actually glad it's over with, so we don't have to worry about Iran nuclear capabilities anymore. And if they try to, it's just going to be a bad situation for them, because really Iran is the main issue in the Middle East. They're the reason for everything, right? That Iraq, Afghanistan, all the wars in the early 2000s, even some even speculate even 9/11. So it's about time that they got a spanking. And so hopefully the Iranian people and the people of Israel, you know, I think they're strong enough to know that this tyrannical regime is on its last leg, and hopefully the people can liberate their own country. And because it's not about regime change, right? That's That's not what it's about. It's not like Hillary Clinton going in there and taking out Gaddafi of Libya and putting in a regime change, and then ended up that's being even worse than the previous dictator. So it's got to be chosen by the people, right? So, anyways, just my 2 cents. But I still think the low is in right here. I mean, it looks like it is, and you got this move up, you got this move down, so it just makes sense, just the overall shape of it, that you would continue coming up. So, but we got to find support, and hopefully this is it right here. So the day matched up, right? When we had this liquidation here, the days matched up for Sunday, right? So it happens at the end of the week or the beginning of the new week. So that makes sense, right? You also have what appears to be five. You got 5 waves. So you want at least a 3-wave pullback, right? So yeah, it's nothing too exciting at the moment. So I would keep an eye on this downward resistance line right here, and you can kind of connect these two here. So if we were to continue to drop, I would like to see this trend line hold, and yeah, and then from there a breakout. So, but again, on the larger time frames, right, this to me looks incredibly bullish. So it's just a waiting game, right? So anyway, that's pretty much it. The weekly chart for XRP, we looked at it already. It's not too bad. Let's just keep looking around and see what's up. So Polygon hasn't broken the low yet. ADA has right at support here. Doesn't look too good. ADA doesn't look that good to me. But let's see here. So what I mean by that is I just don't like this shape, because you're cupping down. You're cupping down instead of cupping up, right? You want the W's, you don't want the M's. So in that sense, it doesn't have a good looking wave structure. But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 extended fifth, right? You can see we're right on support. So I don't think it's gonna break yet to the downside, but it's starting to create this descending triangle. So if we get something like that and then volatility slows, we could see a big dump. So that would be the bearish idea. The bullish idea is still the same, right? 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down. But what we could be seeing here, right? So 3 down, you have 3 up, and then you have 3 back down, right? That's the way we normally look at it. But what if this is the 3-wave move down? So you have 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and then 3 waves back down, and then you go up. So this became more complex than the original idea, right? And that's always the challenging part. So total 3 still looks pretty good. You're still far away from the lows here, and you're flagging out pretty nicely. You still got that impulse. You got that expanded flat here. So I would expect us to find some support in here and continue working our way up. So if not, then the top is in, right? The top is in, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 3 down. You got 3 up. And then maybe this is going to just keep, rocking to the downside. But I don't think so, but you just never know, right? So let's take a look. Chain link. You got a rise, a crash, a retrace. Is this reaccumulation before we go up? It sure would make sense. Just like Litecoin is still in reaccumulation, right? Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. You go sideways and you wait for that breakout. Now, that could take some time. It's still doing its thing. Monero pulling back. Wouldn't surprise me if Monero came and back tested 245, but it still looks pretty good, right? If we can pull back in here and then have another wave up is really what I would like to see. Filecoin just made a new all-time low at $2. It appears that you have 5 waves though, because if you look, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I think this should be getting close to being finished. Probably a little bit more downside, but it should be very close. So other than that, I mean, everything's basically the same as everything else. Like AVAX, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this going to be 5? So just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, 3 up, B, looking for C. And C usually has 5 waves. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that could have been the 5th. So that's what just makes, it makes it challenging, right? And we have to wait and see. But one thing is for sure, when you zoom out, right, you have 5 waves up. You correct down, you have another impulse up, you correct down. So this is a correction down, a correction down. Impulse up, impulse up. So you would expect another impulse up at some point. And I think that's coming. So, Doge. Is this kind of like a diag in here? 3, 3, 3, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you get a B. And then a C. And then go up. Something like that. Very, very possible. XLM. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we going to get 5? Right? And just because it's 5 doesn't mean it's an impulse. It could also be a W, X, Y, X, and Z. It could be a triple correction. Something like this. Right? So anyways, that should do it for this video. There's really nothing much else to say except for we just got to be patient here. We're still just hitting the high, hitting the low, hitting the high, hitting the low, hitting the high, hitting the low. I mean, you're building support. You're layering support in here. So we just have to wait and see how that continues to develop. So the main thing would be Bitcoin here, and Bitcoin actually looks the best for its 3-wave move here. So and then there was something else, Ethereum. So let's take a look at Ethereum here. So yeah, Ethereum also has this 3-wave move down, right? You got 3, you got 3, and you got 3. Or is it going to be 5? We'll see. But if it is, then we should expect upside, right? So this correction, it's going to end soon. And until then, we just kind of wait and see. So anyways, that shall do it. I will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, this is not financial advice. I could be totally wrong. These are just ideas. And the idea still stands, right? Because ultimately, the main idea here for pretty much everything is, like, if I zoom out completely, is once this wave is finished, which is 1, 2, 3, it's always the third wave, the last wave. Once that wave finishes, that's when things should get really, really, really interesting, right? So I expect a big move up. Now, it could be also you have, what is it, rise, crash, retrace. You come down in a reaccumulation. You go sideways for a little bit before doing that. I wouldn't expect too much sideways because you've already had a lot, right? But yeah, that's still the main idea is what I have drawn there. So let's see how it plays. Anyways, that'll do it. I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.